So especially today, today is a big topic. We are in 2023, so we all know what that means. It is an administration year for PAYS. So we're very excited to administer in the fall, but with administration comes recruitment. So we are excited to have some conversations today all about recruitment, gearing up for the fall, and also some really exciting tools that will be coming out shortly too for all of you in the field to utilize to assist with recruitment. So today's main presenters are going to be Mary Johnstun from Bach Harrison. She is going to be sharing a lot of information about recruitment and some tips, and looking to all of you on this webinar to support the administration of PAYS as well. So again, if you have questions or comments or concerns, we want you to communicate those in the chat box. Lead with the word question. We've got 5 sets of eyes. That's 10 total eyes looking for questions in the chat box so that we can communicate those to Mary at the end of her conversation, or if we feel like it's necessary, we can have that conversation right then and there in the middle of it. And also assisting with some additional information is Phyllis Law. She's here with us today as well. So welcome to the two of them, and thank you for being here. And then, as always, we have us here to support as well, your panelists, to answer any questions, to be a support person. So definitely let us know if you've got any concerns or questions. We're here. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about was what's new and exciting, and just to go over some of these tools that we have that are coming very, very, very soon. So we are in the middle of developing or almost developed a one-pager that's going to discuss. It's going to be a great tool to use to recruit new schools, to reiterate the importance of the PAYS to school districts that have participated in the past. There's going to be some frequently asked questions addressed through this one pager. It will be a sort of go-to tool that we hope will be a go-to tool for all of us in the field to use to help in this effort to recruit school districts to participate in the PAYS. We also have some things coming down related to recruitment as well. So, and we're recruiting school districts, right? And Mary's going to spend a lot of time talking about that today, but there is recruitment, and then there's collecting buy-in, right? We want everyone in the state of Pennsylvania to be bought into this process because of the great things that come out of administration of the PAYS. So what we have done is we've developed a set of videos that will speak to a variety of different audiences. So we will have parent videos that talk to parents about some of the concerns that they may have related to PAYS administration, but also answering those frequently asked questions as well that we've identified through years of doing the PAYS. We've also will have videos for school districts, for community members, to help engage them in the process as well. And then also some big changes that I'm really excited about are we will have a proctor video, well, 2 proctor videos really. One proctor video will be for people who are proctoring the survey. So it will give them some additional information about the use of PAYS and why PAYS is important, but some logistic things as well. And then probably the one I'm most excited about is the student proctor video, which is what we are going to invite school districts to share with their students who are participating in the Pennsylvania Youth Survey. So this will sort of not take the place of a proctor, but it will be there so that the proctor can show this to the students who are taking the PAYS, because they are also someone that we want to be bought into the process as well, right? We want them to understand how important it is to be honest on the survey, of course, but also how important this is to developing an environment in our communities across Pennsylvania, how important it is to develop this environment where they can live healthy lives and be successful and be safe. So how all this information leads to that point. So those are some big takeaways on what you can expect in the near future to help in assisting in recruitment. of school districts. So we will now kick it over to Mary, who is going to, so if you have any questions about anything that I've discussed, of course, ask that in the chat. But we will move on now to Mary. She is going to go over some recruitment pieces for all of you. So thank you, Mary. Take it away.
Thank you and welcome everyone. We are very excited to be launching the 2023 survey. It's really interesting, especially for groups like this. It seems like PAYS never ends, and it really doesn't. So as soon as we get reports out and we dive into that data, we're already thinking about what the next iteration of the survey is going to be, what is going to be on the form, how we're going to work with districts, what new tools we're going to build, like Lee was talking about. So yeah, it's just time. So since the survey is in the fall, this is generally the time that we get started with recruitment and just kind of capacity building and sending out information and things like that. So in terms of our timeline, an invitation went out to each superintendent and charter school administrator. Those went out on April 12th. So those went out from by email from my email address, mary@bach-harrison.com. Within that email was included sorry, something's going on with my screen. Within that email was a fact sheet, a copy of the questions that are included on our main survey form. There was also some information about a fourth grade survey pilot that we're doing that was included in there as well. And then also the main thing was that we included a link to the agreement form that superintendents could use to sign up for the survey. So this is something that we do need a superintendent, or if you're a charter school or a private school, a lead administrator to fill that out. This person serves as the gatekeeper for the survey data. So it makes sense that they give their authorization for the district or for the charter school to participate. In terms of, and I'm sorry, Sophia, hold on, my screen itself is going a little wonky, and so I can't quite see things. Let me just adjust, see if I can adjust. Okay, there we go. That's better. So the link that you see here is for our generic agreement form. So this can be taken. We would prefer for superintendents to use the link that we sent them. When they use the link that we send to them, it's linked directly to how we're recording and keeping track of their information in Airtable. So this is an example of an agreement form. One would just need to fill out the name, whether or not they'll be participating. But we know that we have a lot of individuals on in this webinar who are not necessarily superintendents or lead administrators. So this other information is particularly important and relevant for you. So actually, Sophia, if you could click on the yes there as an example. Okay. Then we'll see a lot of other really helpful information. So if you are a data user within your community, your county, or your region, this might be something that you would want to walk through with your superintendent to make sure that they're checking all the boxes, they're doing everything correctly, or at least how you would like as a partner. So we do have the option for them to sign on to an optional fourth grade pilot. Completely optional, so I'm not going to spend any time on that. We do need them to designate a survey coordinator who has the bandwidth to take this on. So we don't want someone who already has too much on their plate. We want someone who has the time, who is familiar with these types of online and paper surveys. And then it's always actually a benefit if this person is a data user, because then they have some skin in the game. They understand the value of the data. So we need their contact information. And then once we get this contact information, we'll start working with them. We're planning on providing a training for these survey coordinators at the tail end of the summer or the beginning of the next school year. There's an option if the superintendent, our default is to give every survey coordinator a copy of the results. So we do have a checkbox if a superintendent does not want that survey coordinator to have automatic access to the results. They would need to check out that. They can designate if they're going to do it in paper or online. They can also leave that to their survey coordinator to complete. The next part down is of particular importance to our community level data users. So we ask the superintendents, would you like to authorize additional data users? If you or any other data users within your community want to have this locked in as an authorized data user, it's really helpful if you can get your name and or email address included in this field. That locks you in, and then honestly, when it comes to reporting time, we just CC you on the email that goes out to superintendents. We'll also at a later date be putting together a short form data authorization form that superintendents can sign. So this is not the only opportunity you get to have this done, but this is something. And if you are a superintendent, it's really great if you know of other data users within your district or your community that just rely on this data to do some tremendous prevention planning. Go ahead and include them. Honestly, it gets it out of the way for you. It makes it simpler come reporting time. And then also it's just very helpful for your community. And then honestly, just any additional notes about particulars that we need to worry about or focus on, and then they sign it and that's it. So we're going to be keeping an eye on this. The last time I checked, we were up to over 100 sign-on. So over 100 districts have signed on for the survey. Which is tremendous for this time. This will, of course, will grow. We will probably send out another just kind of nudge to superintendents before the end of the school year. Just something along the lines of, hey, have you given any thought? Do you want to go ahead and sign on this fall? And then it just kind of allows them to do that. And then we really take a big break during the summer. So during the summer, honestly, we don't pester superintendents. We're not really focused on recruitment. We're really just focused on gearing up for just a tremendous survey. Let's see, in terms of just really quickly, let me tell you the actual number. Yes, we have 107 districts right now signed on for the survey. We do have, I referenced that actually from Airtable. So Airtable is what Bach Harrison uses to do all of our project management, to manage all of our survey contacts and coordinators. And we've created this Airtable link that under recruitment progress here, this is publicly accessible. So just bookmark this. This is live. So you will see exactly what we see. So you can sort this by county or by district name. You can sort it by LEA type. And this, you can just really quickly go through and just see if you are representing a county, you can see, for example, for Adams currently has one of their districts signed on for PEACE. Or if you're looking for just a certain number of districts, you could sort by district and just kind of look for those. But you will see this information. We're not providing any other identifying information on here, but this will hopefully give you just a really good idea of who's signed on for your community, and then who you might need to advocate to, which I think is kind of leads us to our next point. So we need your help. We know, honestly, a lot of people that sign up for the PACE First Wednesdays at 1, you are already PACE believers, and we love that. And not everyone is. In the Airtable view that Sophia showed you, we do have 107 school districts and schools signed on, but we all know that there are so many more districts out there, so many more charter schools. And honestly, our recruitment is just beginning. Honestly, 107 to me, I think is a great start. This is comparable to the start we've had in other administrations, but we can always use more advocates for PACE that are out and about. So some different ways to advocate for the survey that we would encourage you all to do. First and foremost, if you are not a superintendent, if you kind of represent a county or a community coalition or group, and you don't see your local district with a little yes by them, we would suggest you just reach out. Let the district superintendent or charter school administrator know what value there is in PACE, what you in particular use the data for, and what are some of the positive changes that have come from these data specifically. Have you won a grant? Have you using data-driven prevention? Have you seen, substance use decrease by X%? Get a specific as you can, because oftentimes superintendents just need a reminder of just the tremendous impact that these data have at a community level. The next is just to talk about PAYS a lot. We know that you all have different meetings with different groups and coalitions and organizations and agencies that you represent. So talk about PAYS, ask around, hey, our district has signed on for PAYS this year. Have you signed on? And see if there are any questions. If you are a superintendent, we would encourage you to maybe bring it up at a regional or statewide superintendent meeting, or honestly, to let us know how we might advocate in that capacity too. Also, just advocate whenever you use SHARP data, shout it from the rooftops. I can't be explicit enough about this. If you are referencing SHARP data in a report or a presentation or a handout, please give PAYS credit for that. Oftentimes, all organizations of all types will cite, like our community has 25% use rate of X, Y, or Z. And then without giving PAYS credit, it honestly makes it sound like you gathered the data, which is fine. PAYS is a public data collection for a reason. We want you to use it, but giving PAYS credit for it honestly just gets the word out there about how valuable this is, how many people use and rely on the data. And so just shouting PAYS from the rooftops anytime you use it is just very important. And we would just really suggest it. And then finally, don't underestimate the power of a meeting. I know, honestly, we're very accustomed to just sending out an email and hoping that flies. But honestly, an email is how we communicate with superintendents, and we often know that doesn't work. So sometimes we turn to phone calls, and at a community level where you already have these relationships established with a superintendent or with a charter school principal, just give them a call, set up a meeting, stop by the school district office, and have a nice in-person conversation about PAYS. Or if you run into any of these individuals at a meeting or such. So I think that is Phyllis or anyone else want to add in or kind of tack on anything about advocacy or any of these other topics?
Mary, you did a great job. I think the key that I really wanted to stress with everybody is kind of seize the moment, really have that reason to reach out. And you did touch on that. This is a time when use PAYS to strengthen and build relationships. I know Wendy asked us a great question about how do I know if my superintendent got it, because I believe she said she had 3 new superintendents. What a great way to introduce yourself. If you haven't met him or her, use this space and use PAYS as a way to really open up doors. We all know, like Mary so wisely said, we're all in it to win it with PAYS. But PAYS is such a big, it's a big process, it's a big report, it's a lot of data, and we use it in so many ways. And so I really just want to stress, having that reason to reach out, really thinking about how, what are some things that you do need to think about? Have you had change not only at the district level with your superintendent, but have you also had change maybe in school board members? They ask questions too. We've gotten quite a few requests recently that school boards are talking about PAYS, which is fantastic. We love it. But having that space to, again, educate and advocate as much as you can around the PAYS. Asking questions about, how has your district used the PAYS in the past? Thinking about, were there, again, if decision makers have changed, let them know the importance, let them know the great information. I love, tagging onto what Mary said, a lot of this can be tagged on. If you're in a meeting, say, hey, don't forget, want you to remind y'all, this is PAYS year. It can, just the more we really kind of circle the wagons, the better. I think that, thinking about how, just being prepared, utilizing the tools that you have out there to really help folks navigate through. Lee mentioned earlier some really great examples of new materials that are coming out. But what a great thing, even if you shoot an email out to, your decision makers within and say, hey, here's a 2-minute video. If you have a minute, take a look at it, little ways that can really help everybody move through this a lot more quickly. I have to echo, Mary, when we have over 100 already registered, but we can't give up. We've got to get back. Remember, our target number, the most we've ever had were 417 districts. So, I'm all about generating excitement when you go and you're outreaching to folks, saying, well, of course you want to know more about what our students are saying, and really going in with that positive attitude. And I think that having those times to seize the moment, in coalition world, we talk about the elevator speech, but kind of being prepared, because you never know when you might be somewhere that you might run into someone in the hall at your school or whatever that might look like. So I really want to stress, get people excited about it. Your excitement around it, it's infectious. If you're excited about it and you're ready to talk about what's happening, it's going to get that whole continuum of from the kids all the way up to those who are making those top tier decisions. And know always, if you get into a place and maybe you're a little hesitant, oh, I may not can answer all the questions. Let me tell you, you will gain more real estate, as I like to say, when you say, you know what, I don't know, but I've got experts that can help us. That's what we're all here for. So know that there's a lot of tools, but all you've got to do is open that door and we're all going to walk through with you. So, please just keep in mind, build that excitement, answer questions as they come, and always reach out to us because we're always here to help. So I hope that kind of, Lee and Elise, did that kind of help where we were going today?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I actually, we have some additional questions in the chat, and I actually have a couple questions I was thinking about too, based on some of the things that Mary had said. So let's address these questions in the chat. So Phyllis had addressed one of the questions that came in about what do we do if we have a new superintendent. So thank you for weighing in on that, Phyllis. So if you need any additional support in that, definitely reach out to the group for sure. So a question came from Monica was, is there a question about why a district chooses not to participate? So I don't know if we can allow Monica to elaborate the question, or if you all want to take a stab at that question. Or
that's actually a great idea. And we actually have another state where in the agreement form, we actually put a follow-up. If they click no, we have a follow-up question. Why did you choose not to do the survey? Honestly, most of the time when someone chooses not to opt in, they just ignore our emails and they don't necessarily tell us no. Sometimes they only tell us no after we've pestered them so many times. So actually that might be something, it's not too late. We could add a follow-up for that. And I can circle back around with Phyllis and Jeff and the team to kind of figure out the wording for that. But that is often a good idea. And honestly, until we get that in there, feel free, if you do see a no there, to just reach out to the district directly and just say, hey, what's up? Oftentimes I think a no is not necessarily a really informed no. It's kind of there's a lot of assumptions behind that no. And they just, very often a no can be turned into a yes when the superintendent understands the tremendous impact the data can have on students.
And Mary, I'll add, that was great. And I'll add, it's not just that superintendent. Many times that no comes from the school board. So I would say having that space where you can go in and educate, because Mary, no wiser words have been said, that usually no is accompanied by in an informal, they just don't know. There's a lot of assumptions, there's a lot, and as somebody who's been answering the questions for a long time, we all on this team have been, there's probably not a question we haven't seen or one that we can't address. And so we want to hear that. If you're hearing questions that are, we don't know, let us know, because it helps us get better and share with others too.
Great, thank you so much. So another question came from and Monica did let us know that she is gonna reach out. So she's gonna do what she needs to do. So thank you for the advice, Mary and Phyllis. So we have another question from Haley. This question is, as an IU consultant in curriculum instruction and assessment, is this something I should be sending out to schools within my group maybe? Or does this get blasted out to all districts in some other way?
Yes, yeah, we worked with PDE to get as updated as possible. So their list up to the date of the superintendent and charter school administrator contact information. I think it came like 3 days before the announcement went out on the 12th. So our hope is that the emails are getting to all of the current superintendents, but we know that those change. That said, we would prefer, rather than school level, honestly, we do want you communicating with your districts to encourage them to sign on. We don't necessarily want you at this point to communicate with your schools. The reason for that is Pennsylvania, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is huge. You guys are just very, very big. There are so many schools, so many districts. It is in everyone's best interest, including the district and the schools, to get the superintendent to sign on to give access to all schools to participate. It simplifies the recruitment process, it simplifies administration. And then if we're working with a school, maybe a school can put pressure on a superintendent or a district to sign on. But then if a school itself reaches out to us and says, well, my district hasn't signed on, but we want to participate, then we have to question, well, is your superintendent okay with this? Is, whose choice is it? And it just really muddies it. So right now, during especially this phase, definitely feel free to reach out to your superintendents in your districts. If you are working directly with schools, we would encourage you to encourage them to be advocates for the survey on behalf of their district. So for them to reach out to superintendents and just kind of let them know, hey, PACE is coming, we want to participate this. We would really appreciate it if you would sign that agreement form. Does that answer your question? I hope.
And I think, Mary, also too, this idea of letting that top tier of those high level decision makers know that it's important at the building level has more strength than any email or letter or, and Haley, you going in and saying, hey, this is important school building level. Did you know, and that building on that strength of advocacy and that breadth and depth of advocacy, I think, would be really helpful. And it really just helps move things forward. So I would say absolutely, like Mary said, advocate and get everybody on the team really marching with our signs in the street saying we must do PAIDS.
Yes, great. Thank you. So we have a question from Alita. Do you know what the subject line was for the April 12th email? So could we elaborate a little bit more on how that was communicated to superintendents?
Yes, that's a great question. Let me pull that up really fast, and I will just put it in the subject line. And I just had this. Okay. There it is. It would have been invitation for X school district, whatever your school district is, to register for the fall 2023 Pennsylvania Youth Survey PAIDS. So I'll put this in the chat, but again, it came out on April 12th. We did not get any kickbacks this year. So we keep a really close eye on bounce back so that we can research those and get contact information out to the correct superintendent. But I know that these superintendents get so many emails every day. So just know if they can't find this in their inbox, hopefully we will be sending out a follow-up. My hope is within the next couple of weeks. I need to run that by the PACE planning team first, but we should be reaching out again soon.
And then we do have a clarification question from Wendy about the the question she had. I believe Wendy had the question related to the two new superintendents. And she was hoping, she has plans to take her supervisor to go around and talk to these groups and schedule pays meetings. But she was more wondering if she could find out if the email for the supers were updated, or how do I get the new names and emails on the contact list? I think that's what
just reach out to me. And honestly, I wonder, is that something we could actually include in that Airtable view, that public view? At least include their name. I don't know if we definitely should include their email address, but
no.
Okay, honestly, just reach out to me, Wendy. Any of you, just reach out to me and just say, this is our superintendent. This is our current superintendent. This is the email address we have for them. Is this what you have? And then we can check and either say yes, we're on board, or we can say no, but we did update that, and we will reach out to them. So if you can reach out and just kind of lead with that, like, this is our current superintendent, this is the email we have for them, then we can give you a really simple answer and also update our records at the same time.
Okay, so I also wanted to ask a question, Mary. When you were, I think I've answered most of the questions. So if any new ones pop up, we can definitely get to those. I just had a question, Mary, about when you were saying to get our names added, to have the superintendent add individual people's names to that list of users. That would be so that we would then get, what would that gain us access to? Can you sort of reiterate that a little bit for the group?
Yes. No,
If a superintendent were to add me, what would I get as this user?
Great. Yes, no, automatically it gives you access to the district level report. So we consider superintendents and charter school administrators to be the gatekeepers for their data. So when the data are done, we are only going to send it out to the superintendent, to their survey coordinator if they authorize their use, and then to anyone else on that list who's an authorized data user. So when that superintendent email goes out, you are just a CC on that. So you can get access to those reports right away. And then now, also, I think that gives you access to any preliminary data as well. But the reports, our current report structure is to send out a profile report, which is more of kind of a visual overview, and then a crosstab kind of question by question report. So they'll get access to that. We are still debating what we are going to do about the access to the data, the password protected data tool. It's been, honestly, I'm not quite sure. In the past, we haven't given authorized access to that. We've had that be something that superintendents will need to authorize in a later date. But in general, yeah. Does that answer your question, Lee?
Yes, it definitely does. And I think the reason I asked that question is because I had recently personally been added to a school district's list. So to your point, I wanted to make sure that everybody knew if they don't do that from jump, they can add people in additionally later. And what I really wanted everybody to know was, because I personally didn't know this, but you would have access to the crosstab tool, which is what I was hoping to gain through that. And I did gain that. So that was something that I thought was super beneficial to have access to. You know, we might have access to the crosstab tool related to the county, but to have those individual school district crosstab tool access, I think is huge. And since I'm working closely with this one particular school district, they had allowed me to gain access to that. So that's what I wanted everybody else. I didn't know that if everybody knew that that was possible.
And
Yes,
Lisa, sorry, Mary, go ahead.
I think we have been thinking about different ways that we can simplify this for superintendents after the fact. So honestly, it's kind of an ongoing process. Like 3 months from now, someone might come to us and say, hey, I'm new to this role. I want to get access to the data. How do I go about doing that? Instead of asking the superintendent to send us written authorization or to do X, Y, and Z, we're going to create just a very simple, like 4-question form that individuals in the community can just email to their superintendent and just say, hey, this is Bach Harrison's authorization form for pays. Can you fill this out at your convenience? and just kind of get this done. So hopefully it'll simplify the process for everyone. But we are already thinking about like, if we miss the vote here, how are we going to help accommodate that later?
And that always has been sort of a question, like, and with those authorized users, and I think anything we could do will be great to make that easier. One of the things I was going to add as far as kind of later on, online participation. Now, this may be if you have someone new, they haven't done, they don't know, they may just check paper pencil, you know, as an example. Last year we had, or last administration, we had about 85% of all the schools do online. And so if that's another one of the edit, if all of a sudden they're like, no, oh, we can do online, that's a good thing, we should do it, you could go back in and make that change. Conversely, if you were online and needed to go paper pencil, you could do that. So I just want to add that, y'all, as kind of these edits happen, you know, as things are moving forward and we start refining.
So that does, there are no other questions in the chat. So does any of the panelists have any additional questions or thoughts on anything that they'd like to share with the group? And if attendees, if you have any other questions as we continue to talk, please feel free to add those questions into the chat. Jeff, did you want to say something?
No, I think all this information's been great.
Great.
I agree. And I think too, it's importantly, if there is, if you can't find somebody's email or have an issue, there is the PACE site that you can ask a question and that comes to me and I will definitely get back to you with any information and additional details that you need in relation to the recruitment or any question. So feel free to do that also.
Great. I'm glad we left time at the end to answer questions, because lots of time, because this is really great. We want to hear from all of you what your thoughts are and concerns are. So a couple other questions.
One more question pop up.
Yes, I did. I think.
Okay, go ahead.
So can you tell me the cutoff for number of students in a district to have their own PAYS data? Great question. The minimum number of students.
Oh, a minimum number of students.
I think is what the question's asking. And if I'm wrong, Alita, please jump in.
Okay, and I saw Koreans too. Let me, minimum number. I mean, it depends on what level of data you want. If you are, honestly, for starters, if you're a district that's really pretty small, that is, you have 600 or fewer students in each of your grades, I'm sorry, but the only way for you to get quality data is to do a census. There's just no getting around that given that population size. If you are a district that you have more than 600 students per grade, you could do a smaller sample, essentially trying to get 600 students per grade across all of your schools. That said, that's going to give you a quality district level report. It will not necessarily get you quality school level data. And honestly, we don't even report at that level, so it's probably not an issue. We can just work that out with you. So that is definitely something, if you're interested in that, if you want to pursue that, we could definitely kind of troubleshoot that and focus on it. In general, PAYS, the state funds a census. So every single student in grade 6, 8, 10, and 12, we would hope that they would do the survey just to get a higher quality of data, but we can work on a solution outside of that. And Corinne, I see, I don't know, Lee, are you okay with me just jumping in and getting this question from?
Yeah, I just wanted to, I just wanted to just check with if Alita wants to, answer in the chat or whatever, if that addressed the question that she was asking, or if she wants to come on live and ask the question live for clarification, we can absolutely do that. But in the meantime, yes, if you want to address Corinne's question here, I can read it and then Mary, you can go from there. So the issue that Corinne is running into is that the school district, it seems like, wants to do the CDC's YRBS. They want to get where Philly ranks with the national data. What can she do or say to counter that?
That's a great question. And honestly, Kareem, thank you. We get that a lot in states where YRBS is another component. So honestly, there are some states, like we administer the survey in the state of Utah, where because of that, we don't want schools and districts to have to choose one or the other. We actually roll the administrations into one administration. So a good option for a PSD would be to honestly help partner with us. And kind of work. I've run the YRBS before, so I know how the sampling strategy works. I know how class selection works, and it's actually pretty easy to just say, okay, what are the schools that you're already planning to do the survey in for the YRBS? What is the survey date that you have planned on? Okay, well, can we actually administer PAYS on the same day and only target the classes that aren't participating in YRBS? So essentially, we still got one survey date. We still have one like parent consent process where we're sending out that parent letter that covers both of them. Students aren't taking more than one survey, but everybody gets what they need to get the survey done. So that is a good option. One thing I do say when it comes to YRBS versus PNA, it's just a different type of data. There's a lot of overlapping substance use and health and wellness data. YRBS is a little bit more focused, I think, on health than PAYS is. PAYS is more focused on the risk and protective factor framework, as in communities that care. So YRBS has a lot of, they call them risk factor and protective factor questions, but nothing that really equates to kind of the hardiness of SDRG's communities that care risk and protective factor framework. So those are some key differences, but in general, when it comes to kind of, I don't think a good strategy, honestly, you're not going to win if you ask them to do PAYS instead of YRBS, because there's funding tied to doing YRBS. There's so much pressure to participate in that. So you're never going to win that battle. I think the best strategy is to say, okay, how can we play together? How can, your YRBS data is great, but honestly, they just released YRBS data from like 2 years ago. Like it's also just very slow. The data is only at the district level. It follows a very rigorous weighting process, which means it's very solid data, but it often just is a little bit slower. So I think another argument is, well, okay, while we're waiting for the YRBS data to come, we can already kind of start working with our PAYS data. Or honestly, why not do PAYS in addition to YRBS so that we can check them against each other for validity and to kind of get a clearer picture of all of the needs of our students. Honestly, if you want to talk about it, give me a call, because I can talk about how YRBS can play well with another state survey so many times. And I really actually am very passionate about how that can happen, but I would love to be a resource for you.
And I think another key piece to this is YRBS is a very broad sample. And in Philadelphia, because Philadelphia is the only school district that actually gets a report that's 2 years later, like Mary's saying. Otherwise, it's regional, for those of you who are wondering. And we at the state level have tried to work with YRBS and try to find these crossroads, but it's been a challenge. And I think one key piece here is really understanding and really letting Philadelphia know that we have national norms that are in PAYS. We have national, comparisons at the national level with monitoring the future and really working to help answer these questions and really find, broad strokes of where it can work. I think Mary, these two pieces of information can work in concert. And I think that is a key piece, that this is not a us and them, or, we only need to do this. The YRBS information, it's good information, but it is limited. Helping within this, especially within the city of Philadelphia, but anywhere, really drill down into those, you know, different levels of building level or other areas within PAYS, and really understanding what the needs are of our kids, what the causes of the issues, that risk and protective factor space that Mary talked about, you know, really understanding where we need to direct resources, which engages the coalitions, you know, and really helping understand and build this very comprehensive strategic plan. I've worked here in Florida where we combine it's called the FYSS here, but it's the same, you know, Florida's version of the PAYS, if you will. And we coordinated YRBS, with the CTC, the PAYS, if you will, and also the tobacco survey. And I mean, that was a big effort. This was many, many years ago, but there's ways that the two can work together. And I think that really is the key. Having those opportunities to come to the table, really exploring where the overlap is, really understanding what information can happen. I see you also have a question around, you know, we only need 600 students per grade. What I would like to say, and really reiterate what Mary said, you know, we like, and one of the strengths of PAYS is that it is census level data. So this idea of going in and drawing a sample and doing those things, it's not going to answer and really help where you need to go. But I'll go back, and like Mary was saying, the idea of having, you know, you're going to get sample level with YRBS, but go in and, you know, even within Philadelphia, working in that space around regions, even if you wanted to have, you know, within the different regions within the district. And I'll throw my hat in that ring too, because we very much would love to have Philadelphia be a part of this. And I think there are many, many ways that we can find a partnership. And the other part to it is, and I want to stress, when that data comes back to the district, you have got a team of people that will help understand and utilize that data, help them put it into work, help build strength and partnerships with community providers. And all this team right here that you're looking at, we're all here, and many, many others that are out in the field can really help you put that data to work in a very unique and very effective way. And I just like to say, I'd love to be a part of that conversation too, as far as what we can do to help that move forward.
Thank you for answering. And thank you, Corrine, for asking. That was really great conversation. And for those of you who weren't paying attention, Sophia did put in the chat a really great resource that connects YRBS and PAYS data, and what they ask versus what the PAYS asks, and the commonalities and the differences. So thank you for sharing that, Sophia. And for any of you who want some more information on that, check that out. And then we do have Alita wants to go ahead and ask her question live. So go ahead, Alita.
Thank you for that.
Sure.
So the issue that I continue to run into within my county is we are a one school district. So we're Mifflin County School District with one superintendent. Our class size is not 600. We average maybe 350 to 400 in each grade level. However, we have a private school, which is Belleville Mennonite School, that likes to participate in the PAYS, but because their student body is so small, I mean, their class sizes for each grade could maybe only be 25 to 40 students. We know we cannot do the PAYS data for them alone, so we try to combine them in with the Mifflin County School District and call it like a Mifflin County Community Report. Is that something I did click on the link? Neither of them have responded yet. So I would like to email them and ask that in the notes, they make that note that says, please combine us with one another and call it the Mifflin County Community Report.
I don't know if you need to do that, because I think that's something we would automatically do. Jeff, can you recall? I seem to honestly think that we've done that in the past.
Yeah, I'm
And-
pretty sure we have.
And we don't need superintendent approval for that.
No,
No,
we
no,
would,
I'm not necessarily looking for approval, but I'm looking to see how we can have it be, instead of being called the Mifflin County School District Report, have it called like a community report or something. Because it isn't just Mifflin County School District data. It also has the BMS data in it.
Oh, well, honestly, anytime we have multiple entities combined together within a county, we just call it a county report. So that's something we would automatically produce as well. Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong.
And I'll
yeah,
also,
I'm pulling the Mifflin County report up, but I think what she's saying is that we don't produce a county report for Mifflin because there's only one school district. So for the Mifflin School District report, which includes the charter school, rather than call it Mifflin School District, call it the Mifflin Community Report. Is that correct?
That is correct.
and Alita, you can call it anything you want. That's really up for y'all. That's kind of that opportunity. Let the district and the group come together and decide, kind of what do they want to call it.
Right, but once that decision is made, is putting that in the notes section of the contract or the agreement to do pays that they're sending back in, is that the place to put that? I guess is what I'm trying to figure out. How do we have that happen?
Yeah, I think in the notes is fine.
Okay. And so we've had a little bit of pushback with BMS, but the reason that, and I just am clarifying for my kind of, like you say, elevator speech, we need to combine them with the Mifflin County School District because a class size of 25 to 50 is not a large enough student population to keep information like confidential, or like, what is the wording that I want to use as to why they can't have their own report?
To ensure student confidentiality.
Okay.
And we can honestly, for small schools where we can't produce grade level results, we can, and then we actually do provide, we call them all grade reports, which it just rolls all the grades together. So we're not, kind of makes it a bigger group that we can produce some type of report. So there,
Okay.
unless even all combined, they still have less than 20 students, we can provide them with a report.
So as long they can have an all grade report as long as it's more than 20 students.
Yeah, total. Yeah.
Okay. And they would have that amount. So
Yes,
thank
yeah.
you so much for letting me clarify that.
And,
Oh, absolutely.
and I think, Alita, too, part of it would be, even if the charter school had their own report, the school district could say, yes, include them in ours or not.
Correct.
So Mary, am I kind of in that, kind of getting in that, just kind of thinking about it a little bit and what makes the information most useful,
Right.
most pertinent, I think it's great questions.
Yeah. And I think both entities are good with having it combined. There's just a little bit of, I know we've had some struggles, and probably because I had a hard time communicating it, but the BMS doesn't like when it comes out under the Mifflin County School District report. So I just need to make sure that community report is how it's titled. And it sounds like I have my answer that can happen. Just clarify it in the notes, and BMS can get an all grade report because they'll have enough students to combine grades, but no individual grades, which is why we do it as a community report, because all the kids are living in Mifflin County. So it's just that they're attending two different schools. So very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Great question. So I think that, unless I'm missing any other questions, am I missing anything else? We do have some other clarification in the chat from Dr. Baker. So thank you for sharing that information as well in the chat. So that concludes our webinar. So thank you so much for being here. Remember, these are recorded, so share this information. Advocate for PAYS administration. And if you have any questions or support when it comes to anything, or especially advocacy, we are here for you. You heard Mary and Phyllis both speak passionately about how important this is to them. And I think it's important to all of us on this call. So thank you so much for providing the answers to those questions and being there to support. So reach out to anyone if you need some additional support when it comes to advocacy. Everybody's contact information is in the chat, as well as a link for the follow-up. So please go ahead and participate in that. And that concludes our webinar. Do we, Elise, did you have anything else to tell the
I did
group?
not. Just if everybody who is left could please take a minute to fill out the evaluation form. It's pretty brief. And this is the last webinar this series, and we're looking at starting again in August. And we really value your feedback and want to make sure that we make these valuable, informative, and something that everybody is able to use. And your lunch hour is valuable. So we don't want to make sure that, we want to make sure that we treasure that. So take time to fill that out so we know what's happening, and anything that you guys need, we are here. And I'm going to tell you right now, this team they'll do whatever they need to do to get to get you the information you need and to help you reach out with whoever you need to have communication with. Thank you, everybody.